Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Joe Oriani's podcast. My name is Joe Oriani. Before I introduce my special guest, I have a couple announcements to make. If you want to reach me at Twitter, it's Oriani Joe3. And if you want to tell me to stop talking, it's Joe Oriani's podcast at yahoo.com. Any suggestions and ideas would be appreciated. And any guests who you think or feel the audience may want to talk to is a good thing. Now, before I go much further, I need to tell you this. When I started this podcast, I said, you never know what you're going to get. I'm not going to be consistent with politics or Disney or anything else. We had the introduction. We had Maddie come on, talked about nursing. The last one was about travel and hurricanes. And so anything else you could do. If you want to contribute to the podcast, because it does cost money to keep this up, please feel free to donate or subscribe on any of your podcast stations. Now, with that in mind, I do have one more thing to say. First of all, I want you to look at my shirt. Isn't that cool? I got that for retirement from Disney. One of the girls got it for me. There's pizza Rizzo's on it. But with that in mind, I have decided that I am going back to Disney. I was hired back as a seater in Sci-Fi Restaurant and Tap House part-time, Wednesdays, Saturdays, Sundays. So you can always come by and harass me and say hello and introduce yourself to me. That would be fun. Nobody knows about this because this podcast in particular isn't going to go up for 2 more Wednesdays. It'll be viewed on, like I said, Spotify, YouTube, anything you like. Okay. So my next guest is a very special person. She started out doing florist, working, got a mentioned in school. She got an award in school for doing that when she was younger. She don't know I know that. And then she graduated up to doing floral. And now she's working with a company who shall not be named. I don't know, Harry Potter. Anyway, her name is Desiree Portobello, like mushroom, right? Is that correct?
No, Portillo.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, her maiden name happens to be, what was it? What was your maiden name?
I think it's Oriani.
Oh, what do you know? You're somehow related. That's great. Anyway, this is my daughter, Desiree. She was born in Pennsylvania. She has a beautiful child who just gives me one hard time every time I try to talk to her. But anyway, Des, let's talk about your career. You started out in school. What did you get that award for?
I got it for Best Floral Designer. I got 2nd place in the state. So I had to perform on stage and I had to price it out. I had a time limit and I had judges walking around to judge how I designed, what I used. So I got 2nd in the state.
Were you nervous doing that?
Actually, our bus driver was late, so I lost points because we were late. So I assumed that I was out. And I didn't know I won until we were at convention months later and I was supposed to be on stage. I had no idea.
Oh, cool. Congratulations. I remember reading that article somewhere in a newspaper or something. I did keep track of it, despite what you may think. Now, my next question is, from there, you went on to, now I know you don't have a college degree, but you're working on it. The company you're working with now wants to send you to college, and that's cool. It's like Disney, they send us to college if we want. They sent me to learn Spanish, but after 2 days, I gave it up. I speak French better. Anyway, so you went on to work for a company who shall not be named either. Oh, yeah, I don't really care. 1-800 something or other with flowers in it. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I worked for a third-party flower vendor. So it's kind of like we would work with the mom and pop shops to distribute the flowers. So you place an order on the website, and it was all online retailing.
And
And
how
we
was
would call,
that?
I mean, it was a lot of customer service issues because you're not directly handling the customer. So, and it was like 60 hours a week.
And what was your position?
I was the operations manager. So I ran an office of about like 20 to 30 girls, depending on the day.
And how'd you like that one?
It was a good experience, but I mean, it wasn't a career. It was a quick money kind of job.
And why didn't you want to stay in floral?
No, not everything. Sometimes you just want to look past what you can do. It's kind of like you climbed up a ladder, you just climbed up the wrong one.
So you left that company, and if I remember correctly, you got a job with the now to not be named company. Just call me Harry. Anyway, you work from home. You do a lot of traveling, North Carolina in particular, and
San
you
Diego.
go and where? San
And
Diego.
San Diego.
But that's a fun trip. Anyway, I never been to San Diego. Anyway, you turn around and you work from home. You're what division of that company?
I'm in the operations section.
And what do you exactly do?
So I'm a consultant, but I specialize in construction. So it's a franchise. It's one of the best franchises in the country. I wasn't paid to say that. And so I work directly with the franchisee on building out stores and doing any upgrades as far as construction, along with day-to-day operations. I consult them if they have questions, concerns, or any issues.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the franchise originally bought by the company itself?
So basically, I had actually, when I went to go apply, I decided I want to leave the floral industry. And so I went to go apply, and I saw this major brand, and I had no idea what the job was, right? So I just applied. I was on Indeed. It said click to apply. I was like, cool. This is like a big name, and I'm gonna go somewhere with it. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but this is what it is. So the lady there had called me, and she said, in the first 10 minutes, she said, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I don't think this job is for you. And probably by the end of the call, she was trying to make it work, trying to get me an interview, trying to make sure that I was able to make the interview. Because they do Delaware, New York, PA. So she made it within 10 minutes of my job. And when I got there, I was like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was like, I have no idea what this job is. I was like, but I know I can do it, you know? And one of the guys was like, he had asked me, why would I want to leave a job that was paying me more? And I said, because it's like I climbed up the wrong ladder, you know? So when I went there, it was a company that was part of a franchise. So they owned a territory within that franchise. So I worked for a small business that was part of a large franchise for 3 years.
Okay, now comes the point where the franchise was bought up by the main company. And I remember a wise man telling you, don't collect unemployment, stick with the job. That's a very smart guy.
Correct. That was actually a good move because
Yeah.
when we got bought out in December, they weren't allowed to tell us, they weren't allowed to give us notice. And what our bosses, who were like extremely concerned about their staff, wanted to make sure we had the opportunity to apply for the bigger company because it was more money, more benefits. So when they bought us out in December, they told us it would be an interview process. Now it was a 4-month interview process. So, I mean, it was a lot of work to get hired, but it did work out.
Now, aren't you glad you listened to that guy?
I know, because if I had collected unemployment, I wouldn't have this opportunity.
Somebody was giving you bad advice, but not me. Anyway, okay, so now that you're there, I assume your job duties changed.
So because of the way that my previous business ran the company, they actually tried to keep it pretty much the same because they had 176 franchises that were run by them. So they own 3 different territories and combine them. So for something, it kind of was like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So what they've actually done is they've pretty much adapted the way that my job used to do it, because that's where I was becoming a construction coordinator. And they're making the whole country now, because of how we run it, they're trying to make it run just like we run. So my job has changed a little, going from a small business owner to a corporate, but for the most part, they're changing more than we are.
Oh, that's good. They're adapting to you. You should be proud of yourself then, or your whole franchise should be. It's
Yeah,
a good thing.
my boss brags all the time.
I'm sure he has the right to. Now, my next question is, I know there's an increase in pay, and they were talking about, you told me to mention something about them sending you to college or taking college courses.
Yeah,
Will
so
that interfere with your job?
I currently am enrolled in Thomas Edison University. It's the state university in New Jersey. So I go full time, but I can do online. So I do most of my classes online.
And
So
what's
I
the
do it at
course?
night.
What courses are you taking?
Right now I'm what degree or what courses?
The courses and degree.
So I'm doing a business administration with specialization in marketing. And currently right now I'm doing public speaking, English Comp 2, literacy, and there's like this intro course that you have to take for new students.
Oh, that's pretty good. You know, you talk about public speaking. I'm going to tell you a little secret. When I was about, 14 years old, I was promoted to patrol boys back then, they called them, and safety crossing. I was the captain. And the next day I had to give a speech in front of the school. I could not do it. I was shaking, I was stuttering. It took me a long time to get where I could just, as you know now, I can pretty much say what I want. I mean, I talk to myself on this sometimes for 45 minutes a day, and they haven't come lock me away. So we're doing good. But it takes a lot of special person. You've seen the videos like set you from Disney where I jump around, dance, and talk to the guests. Most of the younger people can't do that because, oh, well, what? They're too nervous. They're too shy. But public speaking is very difficult. Getting on a stage in front of 100 people, 200 people, and I learned that from AA, so I can do it.
Yeah, we have a network meeting every quarter, and we have to present, and that's about 100 to 150 people split into 2 meetings. So
yeah, but that's by phone, isn't it?
What?
Isn't it by phone?
Not anymore. It used to be in person, and then when COVID hit, they switched to virtual, and now it's back to in person. So
you have to get up on stage and
yes, present.
Because I remember you when you were younger on stage one time. I was there when you were doing the Christmas song with the reindeer, rain, reindeer. It was horrible. No offense, sweetheart.
I've definitely
Yes, buddy.
I've definitely improved my public speaking skills. I mean, I have to. And it's kind of just about knowing your material, If I'm in my element, which I love my job, this is my element, so I know what I'm saying.
Well, one of the things I noticed about you, you're confident as you grow into a position, you get more confident and more assertive, which is probably really a very good thing.
Yeah, my boss has been extremely helpful. My voice makes a difference in this job, and you don't get that a lot. I've made changes. Anything that I'm vocal about, he hires up. He brings it up to people that matter, and not even that, he lets me bring it up. He tells me that like what I say matters. Like something as silly as like when we first came on, they're like the uniform is khakis. Now women haven't worn khakis in work since like 1976, and they're not form fitting. They're not comfortable. I mean, and they did change the uniform when I brought the concern up. So my boss always, as little as things are, he always escalates it the right way and makes me feel like I make a difference and I make a change in the company.
Well, that's good because I had that problem with Disney when I was working at Pizza Rizzo's. I would bring an idea to the leaders and they'd say, yes, 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 and it didn't get anywhere. Didn't go to the property manager. And then before I left, we had this new property manager come in. I went directly to him. He loved some of my ideas. He implemented them and he listens to everybody. And that's the way it should be. If you have an idea, you send it to any boss. Whether they agree or not, pass it up and you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, he's allowed me the opportunity to make a name for myself. People know who I am. I'm very good at networking and like if I don't get an answer, I'm going to find out. So usually like I'll handle with the right people. I know that like we have a large convention and they volunteered me for the Genius booth, because my boss loves to stroke my ego. So there's only about, I think like 12 of us. And I asked if I got a t-shirt. I do not, but it's nice to be in like such a, like, feel so elevated in such a big company and such a big name.
So in other words, you want a t-shirt that says, I'm a genius.
Yes, I do. That's what I was told.
God, I know what to get you for Christmas. I'm in a genius group.
I told him I feel tricked because he told me there was a t-shirt. They in this company, he always takes every opportunity to what he calls his voluntold us, he doesn't volunteer us, he voluntells us. But I always want to be in that opportunity, so it doesn't bother me. But he's like, there's gonna be a t-shirt too. I was like, oh, perfect. I was like, I'm
And
gonna
he
wear that
lied.
t-shirt. Yeah.
Tell him, don't worry, I got you covered. I'll make sure you get one.
Actually, one of my coworkers sent me, because as soon as they said Genius Bar, she looked and rolled her eyes because my ego is very high in this job. And she sent me a book that said like Thoughts of a Genius right after.
Okay. Just remember, don't let your ego run away.
No, I
Sometimes you got to keep it
can't
low.
do. Yeah.
Now, one of the other things you just mentioned, you have good at networking with a lot of people. I'm sure you have a contact list that's outrageously long, correct? Well, you
Yes.
can let them know you're going to be on YouTube in a couple of weeks. I'll let you know the dates when I get around to it. But
Yeah.
it ain't this week, it ain't next week. It'll be the week after on a Tuesday at midnight. And tell them to donate. Don't be so cheap. You guys make good money. Donate. My dad needs the money to keep this afloat. If I was making money at this, I wouldn't go back to Disney. $100 a month, I'd be thrilled to death. But I haven't got a penny yet, and I'm 19 hits. So in 2 weeks, that ain't bad. Tonight should be good. Because I introduced someone who's becoming a nurse, and I didn't know how smart she was. I did not know that. And she told me her story because I work with her. I said, yeah, just another, CP college person. Quite interesting.
Yeah, I think people, they always say hire, like resumes are pretty much like, just a lie that you write, it's all about hiring, about personality. And if like I said, the first conversation I had with the old company, they literally said this job wasn't for me. And they were hysterical when I was leaving and when they were leaving, because at the end of the day, like they gave me this opportunity and they hired me with no background. They couldn't contact my previous boss. They let me, they gave me a real opportunity.
Well, let me ask you a question then. How did you convince them to give you the interview?
You know what? As soon as she said like, this job isn't for you, I went into gear and kind of was like, showed her why. That I could do this. And I explained to her that you can teach anybody anything, but you can't teach work ethic or personality. And I have those.
Yeah, well, that's true. I was like the girl Maddie, her work ethic is beyond belief. It's really good. So anyway, what are your plans for the future in the job?
Right now, once I get my degree, I'm also working on the project management certification. So for now, I kind of want to, really get a hang of the corporate way, but I'm trying to make moves as far as networking and maybe consider a different department once I get there, once I get my certification. I do love what I do now, which is like basically consulting and working with the franchise, but I would like to get in something more that's more project management and more hands-on with more of the construction stuff, because I really like that aspect of it.
Did your boss know that, or he does now, huh?
Actually, yeah, he absolutely does. So what they do is they actually have where you fill out your goals. So you put what you want to do, if you're willing to relocate, how you're going to get to those goals. Like, going to school was one for me. Enrolling in project management was one for me. Volunteering, we volunteered at this golf event. So just like how you would get there. And then every 6 months they review and they see if there's positions, anything that might be open. And my boss, he's been with the company for over 20 years. So he's very like networked. He knows a lot of people. So even if, they're like the next level up for me would be like an operations manager. And that's not something I actually want. I want to move to like project management, like something different. I don't want to run a team under me because I've already done that. I want something where my work is my work.
And he knows all this.
Yeah. So they're very good about that. They're very good about seeing who's eligible to move up, what kind of leadership they have. And like I said, my boss is all about gloating about us. And he always tells everybody, like, I'm very modest. Like, I'll get on and be like, oh, like I handle the construction. And he'll be like, no, she's the best. Like,
Well, that's very good. Sounds like you got a good boss. Does the company you work for offer 401ks and how much vacation?
Yeah, so they offer 401k, they offer stocks, they offer vacation. I get vacation this year. It's called like discretionary days, so I can use them however I want. Next year I'll get real vacation time. They actually do an annual review where you receive a bonus based on your performance. So if you hit that bonus, you get like a lot of money in stocks. And then after a certain amount of years, you can choose stocks or cash.
Oh, good. Okay. So do you have anything to say to the audience before I let you go? Anything you want to add?
No, I mean, just, like it's do what you want because you never know what opportunities there are.
Okay, don't forget, when I'll let you know when it's gonna be posted and tell everybody and let them watch it. It's all over the place. They can't miss it.
Got it.
Amazon Music, Apple, everywhere, Spotify, YouTube. From YouTube, they can see us talking.
Okay.
So, all right, Des, thank you very much. I love you. I'll talk to you real soon.
Okay, I love you. Bye.
Bye.